welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be super casual. I'm like still in kind of my pajama shirt, not pajama shirt. I just got this from Misguided. I kind of feel like a BA because it has like a Playboy bunny symbol. And then I like it on the back. It kind of looks like a band tee. I don't know. But I got mine like super oversized. I think it was already supposed to be oversized and then I sized up so it's like super baggy. So it's kind of like a sleep tee. This shirt has no relevance to the video. But we're just going to be sitting super casually chit-chatting about... Drinking some coffee here. I'm going to sit back on my legs. Sitting and chatting about brands that I have or am losing interest in. So I've seen this video recently done by Samantha March, Kelly Gooch, and Mel Thompson, just to name a few that I have seen. I'll have all their videos linked down below. But I have 10 brands to discuss with you guys that I just have lost interest in. I don't get excited for their releases. If I could shop in stores, I would likely be like just glossing over their section or not even popping by their section to look at what they have. And unfortunately, I'm just not excited about these brands as of right now. Now, that doesn't mean I won't be excited about them in the future. Certainly, they could release something that would just really speak to me and my makeup preferences, and I could instantly be intrigued by the brand again. But these brands right now either used to be favorites for the majority, actually yes, majority of these, if not all of these, used to be like favorite brands, or I would get really excited about these brands and what they're releasing, and now it's just kind of like not that excited. If you guys would like to see me talk about brands that do spark interest in me or that I find to be really interested, or I'm always excited about their releases, leave me a comment down below and I would be happy to film that too. I feel like lately I've been getting more into brands like Milk Makeup, Ilia, and just like kind of the like lesser known but definitely like coming up sort of brands. So let me know if you'd like to see that video. If not, totally fine. But if you're interested in hearing me talk about 10 brands that I am losing interest in, then stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing before leaving today. I do post a minimum of 4 times a week, so don't forget to subscribe before moving on. And other than that, let's just jump into the video. Have you guys tried the, I think it's like STOCK, I don't know if it's Stock or Stoke iced coffee. It comes in like a big, like I think gallon sized jug, and it's like green packaging. They have different flavors actually, but the green one's my favorite. So good. Alright guys, like I said in the introduction, I have 10 brands to discuss with you guys today, and we're going to start with a brand that I was never like uber excited about. It was never like I owned a ton from this brand, but I definitely made an effort to go look for this brand, go see if there was anything that I wanted, and it was a brand that I definitely used to be a lot more interested in than I am today, and that is the Balm Cosmetics. And I still am interested in picking up the Balm like contour slash bronzer. I still am very interested in that product. But other than that, I just feel like the balm has not stayed relevant in today's like makeup society. I don't know if that even makes sense, but I just feel like they aren't releasing maybe enough. Not to say that you have to constantly be pushing releases, but the releases just really are kind of like the same of the same. I still have a few products left from the Balm. Like I have my Mary Luminizer, which I love, and then I have a blush and bronzer as well. But if I'm being honest, I'm definitely considering decluttering both that blush and bronzer just because they're not my favorite, and I'm just not excited about the Balm anymore. I used to, like, on my days off, I usually have every Wednesday off, I would like drop my daughter off at daycare, and then I would like make my rounds to all of the makeup stores. So I would go to Ulta, and I would go to Sephora, and then I would also go to Kohl's to see what the Balm had. They're all literally within like a half of a mile radius of one another. And I can't tell you the last time I looked at the Balm. Even when I've seen that the Balm has had their 50% off flash sales, I just have really not been interested in checking anything out. So the Balm is the first brand on my list. The second brand on my list is Too Faced Cosmetics. Now, don't get me wrong, Too Faced still makes some of my favorite some of my favorite products are from Too Faced. I love the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. I love the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. And I even think the Too Faced Born This Way ethereal setting powder is really nice. I finished that up earlier this year. I won't be repurchasing another one just because I have other powders that I prefer over that one, but I still think that's a really nice powder. But overall, I just feel like Too Faced, first of all, Too Faced as a company, and just some of the people involved in Too Faced have done things that I just disagree with, and they just don't seem to care either. Like, I feel like they do shady shit and then they just don't care, and that just doesn't bode well with me. I also feel like Too Faced almost has, like, not quite as much as another brand that I'm going to talk about, but almost has, like, lost their identity as a brand. And I feel like they used to release a lot, and I just feel like they are releasing less, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like the last thing that I remember seeing them release was them re-promoting or like repackaging or reformulating some of their older products, like their Primed and Poreless Primer and Pressed Powder, which I am interested in trying that powder because that used to be a favorite of mine. But I just do not get excited about Too Faced releases anymore. I can't tell you the last time that I was excited about a Too Faced release. I feel like it may have been for the like peach palette, and I've decluttered most of my Too Faced palettes at this point as well. Again, I still love their like face complexion products, but overall Too Faced as a brand just isn't really doing it for me these days. And then speaking of the brand that I feel like truly has lost its identity, like I don't know if it's out there searching high and low for it, but it is, it's lost right now, in my opinion, is Tarte Cosmetics. Ugh, I just feel like Tarte has done so many weird things, and I don't know, like, what are you doing, Tarte? Like, what are you doing? And I feel like when they were caught, like, the first time around, remember when they released the Clay Play 2, and it was, like, the same packaging as the Clay Play 1, and there was, like, I think a bunch of repeat shades in that? Well, I don't know if I've ever even seen people talk about this, but Whitney Simmons, who's one of my favorite YouTubers, did a collab with Tarte, and her collab was beautiful. I was really interested in purchasing it, but I was on a low buy at that time, and I decided to pass over it. I was in store at Ulta, and I saw another palette from Tarte that looked similar to the palette that Whitney did with them, but definitely a little bit different. And looking at it, the names in the packaging were the exact same shade names as the Whitney palette again. So it was like, again, they had just put different shades in, but used the same packaging as a collab they did with someone. Like, what? That just doesn't make sense to me. And then on top of that, I just feel like they have so many different collections that it's really hard to keep up with, and the collections don't necessarily all mesh together. Like, there's the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea collection, which is probably my favorite genre, I don't know, if you will, of Tarte. But then they have their sister brand, like the Sugar Rush or whatever it is, and then there's just so much going on, and it's really confusing. It's confusing to the consumer, and I don't know, I definitely have lost interest in Tarte. Now, I will say their Rainforest of the Sea lipsticks are still some of my favorite. I love my Tarte Lit and Bloom palette. They still release like nice eyeshadow palettes from time to time. And then I also am really interested in trying their new cream bronzer from, I believe it's the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea line. But overall, I'm just very confused by Tarte and the direction that they're going, and I'm definitely losing interest in the brand. It's a brand that just makes me feel a little bit uneasy, and not a brand I necessarily want to support, because I just question their motives, if you understand like what I'm saying. So Tarte is definitely a brand that I have lost interest in. Alright guys, the next brand on my list is Urban Decay, and Urban Decay used to be a brand that I was always really excited about, really excited to buy from. I used to purchase so much from Urban Decay even before I had a YouTube channel. I had one of the Naked palettes. I would buy their single shadows. I just loved Urban Decay. And then when I was really getting into YouTube in the beginning, I just think about like the Urban Decay concealer. That was a favorite of mine. And it was just always a brand with that whatever they came out with, I was really interested in. The electric palette, the moon dust palette, so many things. I was always excited about all of their releases. And now I just feel like Urban Decay is somewhat inconsistent in terms of the quality of what they release. So I'm always just a little bit hesitant to purchase from the brand. And I feel like some of the stuff that they also have released just hasn't been a product that I feel like will suit my skin, not tone, my skin needs is what I'm trying to say. I did have the Urban Decay All Nighter foundation and eventually had to declutter that because that was just way too matte. It also oxidized really bad. And then the Stay Naked foundation, I was interested in trying at some point, but decided not to. And then I just think about like even like my Urban Decay Beached bronzer is like not my favorite. There's been a lot of releases from Urban Decay that I've been interested in but wanted to wait to see reviews, and by the time I saw reviews, it was just, I had lost interest whatsoever in the product. I think the last product that I purchased from Urban Decay, I know I've purchased their All Nighter setting spray, which is a staple in my collection, but the last product that I purchased from them was the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette, which didn't turn out to be a favorite. I do really like the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, but other than that, I just do not get excited about Urban Decay like I used to. Urban Decay used to be one of my favorite brands. They were like one of my first stops when I got to Sephora. I would go to the Urban Decay section, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't get excited about them like I used to. Ooh, another brand that used to be like probably my favorite brand, or at least in the top like 2 or 3, was Becca Cosmetics, and I have pretty much lost all interest in Becca Cosmetics. And I think one of the reasons is I used to obviously love their highlighters, but there's so many highlights on the market now, and so many that I really do like more than Becca Cosmetics. Now I do still love Becca Rose Quartz, and if I ran out of Becca Rose Quartz, I definitely would repurchase that. And I do have some Becca lip glosses that I really like. Becca's a brand that like, it's not like I'm like, nope, never buying Becca again. I still peruse through Becca every time I've been able to shop in stores. But they're just, I feel like they just always are releasing the same. Like if it's a new release, it's usually some different shade of their highlighters. And I don't know, I just don't get excited about Becca like I used to. It used to be like whatever Becca came out with, I was really excited for. I wanted to go swatch it. I wanted to go see what it was. But yeah, Becca I've definitely lost interest in. The next brand on my list is Benefit Cosmetics. And I'll say I've never been super like excited about Benefit releases, but definitely when I was getting into makeup, Benefit was a brand that I really relied on because they sold those kits. Or like I still have my Benefit Cheekathon palette that has like 6 different cheek products in it, or 5, whatever it is. And I just felt like they had a lot of value sets that allowed me to, you know, test a bunch of products or get like multiple products in one, if that makes sense. So when I was first getting into makeup, I purchased from Benefit all the time, and now I truly cannot remember the last time I purchased a Benefit product. Nothing from the brand really ever excites me or calls to me. I feel like even like their foundations, their concealers, just never really been that interested. So definitely Benefit Cosmetics is a brand that I've completely lost interest in. Smashbox is another brand that I never was like, ooh, yay, Smashbox. But I remember in the beginning, I definitely was a lot more interested in them. I was interested in their liquid lipsticks, their regular lipsticks. I owned a couple of each. Also, when they did their collaboration with Casey Holmes, I remember I wanted that like Spotlight palette really bad, but never purchased it. And then they always came out with those little cover shop palettes, which I have tried and thought that the quality on those was absolutely terrible. The only product that the 2 products, well, there are 3 products from Smashbox that I think are really good. You guys know I love my Cali Contour Kit. I also think that they do have a good liquid lipstick formula as well as a bullet lipstick formula. And then actually I also do like the Smashbox foundation that I own. I forget what it's called. But it's like the hydrating one, the 24 or 25 hour wear one. I do like that foundation. But in general, I rarely even go over to the Smashbox section when I'm in Ulta. I don't even know if my Sephora has a Smashbox section. I'm sure they do. I just rarely go over there and look for anything. I just feel like the only thing that they ever are releasing is more cover shot palettes, which I think are not great. They also have a concealer I'm not a huge fan of, and overall I don't want to say that I feel like Smashbox is like a boring brand, but I just feel like they aren't doing enough to keep up with the trends. I feel like they're just like continue to do more of the same. And I don't know, I've just completely lost interest in Smashbox. Again, it wasn't ever really a brand that I was super excited about, but even more so today, I'm just like, could take or leave it as long as I had my Smashbox Cali Contour Kit. Stila Cosmetics is another one that I've completely lost interest in. When I was first getting into makeup again, it was like right before the Glitter and Glows released. I was really interested in Stila. They had those like 12 pan eyeshadow palettes. There was like a couple of different matte versions that everyone raved about. I never owned them, but I was always interested in purchasing them. And then I owned like the Heaven's Hue highlighter, I think. The one that was like a weird consistency. I don't know. I was very interested in Stila when I first got into makeup, and then they released the Glitter and Glows, which I was a huge fan of in the beginning. But now I feel like the only thing that they release are more Glitter and Glows or Shimmer and Glows. And to be honest with you, that's just not a product that I use that often, and they dry out really quickly. Therefore, the brand really just doesn't have much of anything to offer me. And I feel like they keep trying to come out with different products, and nothing really sticks, at least with me. Like the most recent eyeshadow palette that they released, I just wasn't interested in. And I just don't get excited about Stila at all anymore, unfortunately. I have two more brands to talk about. The first one is MAC Cosmetics, and this one breaks my heart because like MAC was my brand in high school. Everything I purchased was MAC. I wasn't even watching YouTube at the time, but I remember when our mall got a MAC counter in our Macy's, and I worked at Macy's at the time. Every day I was at the MAC counter looking at lipsticks, eyeshadows, whatever it may be. I just loved MAC, and MAC is truly what I think got me into makeup in the first place when I first started purchasing MAC products. So I was like die-hard MAC. And I remember when I went to college, every single holiday season, my mom and sister would come up and visit me, and we would go to the Macy's on Nicollet, which I don't even know if it still exists anymore. Unfortunately, I feel like that Macy's may be out of business. I could be very wrong on that. Don't quote me, especially if you're from Minnesota. I could be very wrong. But we would go to the Macy's on Nicollet, and we would purchase like the holiday MAC collections. I feel like MAC came out with lesser collections at the time, and now it just feels like MAC will release a collection for anything. Like the sun is shining today, MAC has a sun shining collection. There's tornado weather, MAC has a tornado weather collection. Like it just feels like there's a collection for everything, and I just have to think to myself, like, are they really putting that much effort, thought, or creativity into these releases? Are they putting effort into making a good formula, or are they just trying to pump out collections to make $1? Which I get at the end of the day. The point of a company is to make money, but I just think I compare it to brands like Melt Cosmetics, where you can just tell they are so thoughtful and intentional about every single release. So MAC it just feels like a lot of the same stuff too. Like there's 2 bronzers in every collection. You know what I'm saying? I used to really love MAC eyeshadow, and I feel like it's just okay. I remember I had this like 12 pan eyeshadow palette that I had so many pans in college, and I cannot tell you the last time I purchased any sort of MAC shadow. It was probably in 2015. I purchased like Shroom or something because I was watching a Jaclyn Hill video, and she said, I think it was Shroom, she always used for an inner corner highlight and a brow bone highlight. I don't even own that shade anymore. My favorite shade when I was in high school and college was Satin Taupe. Freaking loved that shade. I still own that. It's a million years old. But yeah, I mean MAC still has a really good lipstick formula in my opinion. I own a couple of blushes from them, but overall if I happen to be passing by MAC and something catches my eye, then I'm like, I'll take a peek at it. When they released their, I don't know if it's a cream formula, but they released these like glowy blushes. I am interested in trying those, but it wasn't something that I felt like I immediately needed to go buy, and who knows if I even will end up purchasing it. But overall, MAC as a brand just doesn't get me excited anymore. And then the last brand on my list is Morphe Cosmetics. Oh man, when I was first getting into YouTube, purchased so much Morphe. All of my brushes, Morphe. I had like a few Sigma brushes here and there, and then a few MAC brushes from like college, but all of my brushes were Morphe recommendations from like Jaclyn Hill, Laura Lee, etc. And I purchased all their eyeshadow palettes. I purchased a liquid lipstick, which was absolute garbage. I feel like they've reformulated since then, but I used to buy so much from Morphe, and I don't know what happened. It wasn't even when like drama was happening. Well, there's always drama surrounding Morphe, I feel like. But I just eventually just was like, you know what? This is like mid-price, not great makeup, and I would rather spend a few extra dollars on like legit high-end nice makeup than buy crappy Morphe makeup. So I don't know. And now there's like all this extra level of drama on top of that with Morphe, like reformulating and just doing a bunch of shady shit, and that's just not what I'm about. I don't like when brands are shady. I think that's the thing that like turns me off most about brands. I've said this many times on my channel before, I'm not cruelty free, but when I found out that Wet n Wild as well as Physicians Formula were selling in China, like sneakily, I was like, okay, like don't care to buy from the brands anymore. It's just, don't be shady, like be transparent. That's all you have to do. So Morphe, definitely, like that's a brand that I don't know if I'll ever get into again. Like I just don't care to support the brand. But I definitely was already losing interest in the brand. I just think like Sigma brushes, I would rather pay more for brushes that are gonna last, and Morphe makeup is just like meh in my opinion. Like there's nothing really that is that great. I think if you have a smaller makeup collection and you want to purchase like the James Charles palette, or even the original Jaclyn Hill, which isn't vegan anymore, just a heads up, I think like I would understand why that would be a good purchase. I think like the quality is fine. I haven't owned the James Charles palette, but it seems like the quality is good on that. But overall, I just don't care to support Morphe as a brand, and I've completely lost interest in them. But after that, you guys, that is going to conclude today's video talking about, I feel like my hoop is like really weird. But after that, you guys, that is going to conclude today's video chit-chatting about 10 brands that I have lost interest in, that no longer make me excited, don't excite me to purchase from them. Leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear what brands you guys have lost interest in. But other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel, and I will catch you in my next one.